In this short video, I want to talk to you about the powerful shape called legs up the wall. It's a very common shape. We do lots of movements from the position with legs up on the wall. It's in many of the videos in YouTube that I pre-recorded, but I thought it warranted some special attention. It is such a powerful shape. So here we go. I hope you can follow along. You can watch through the video or just set your computer by your side and follow along. You'll start to feel the benefits. If you don't have wall space, I know it's a premium in many households. You can always shut a door and do it with legs up the door. That works. But you can also put your legs over the seat of a chair or maybe on the sofa cushion, or an ottoman works great. Anything to get the legs up. Why? Because we reverse the effects of gravity on your lower extremities, especially the toes and the feet and the knees. It's very cleansing for the tissues and the joints. So here we go. Take some time and just find a way to get your legs up and follow along. If you have a yoga mat, you sit right on the edge of the yoga mat with one hip very close to the wall. And then you roll back, put your legs up at the same time, and if you've done it right, you might find yourself a little too close to the wall to have the knees straight, just like I'm demonstrating here. We do support the head with a bolster or any kind of firm cushion, but if it's too much work to straighten the knees, or if it takes effort to keep them straight, see, I can straighten them here, but then if I relax, they bend. So I'm going to scoot back and allow gravity to have an effect through my knees, letting them extend passively without effort. Now I know with pants on it looks like there's still a bend, but they're as straight as they're going to go passively. And I can even activate my legs and get a little more extension. Okay, that's all right. We want the passive impact. A lot of other styles of yoga encourage you to be right up close to the wall and have your torso 90 degrees to the wall. This is completely different than that. We are going for joint health, and joints need to have an expression in extension, that's when parts move further away, and flexion, both passively and actively, to be really healthy and clean. That's the whole scope of this practice. So I hope you're following along. I hope you have your legs elevated somehow, some way, and you can feel the benefits. You can just rest your arms at your side, close the eyes, and for starters, you might feel this wave of peace coming over your body. If it's too demanding, even athletic people, avid cyclists and runners, they have a hard time with this shape. And don't be surprised if you have to begin with your legs over a chair instead of up on the wall. I even consider this an endurance non-activity, okay? It's a passive shape, but we're building endurance to be able to sustain the shape longer and longer and longer, to the point where oftentimes people will take a nap in this shape. How great is that? You can take a nap and let the yoga work for you while you catch up on your sleep. It's amazing. So what about the shape? Why is it helpful? Well, first of all, the spine is now actually in extension. If you consider the way we walk and stand and carry ourselves through life, the spine is actually in some degree of extension. If I'm far enough away from the wall, the tailbone has to be flat on the floor. That encourages the low back to adapt to the floor, which is flexion of the low back. Elevating the feet induces a pressure. Okay, so the pressure is going to be less in my feet. We're talking about the pressure that moves fluids, the lymphatic fluid and blood. It's going to be less in my feet and my toes, and it's going to be more pressure in the thoracic outlet and the shoulder girdle. So we're going to push the blood to the fingers and the hands. We're going to push the blood to the many glands in the base of the neck, the throat, and we're going to move and push the blood around the brain. Okay? Now, the heart has to work a little bit harder to get the blood up to the toes. Imagine this subtle back pressure of blood up against the heart. So if you have a heart condition, for sure, you want to check with your doctor before you do a shape like this. But imagine the challenge that it puts on the heart to work a little bit harder, but not faster. In fact, the shape ultimately promotes a sense of relaxation. The shape stimulates the vagus nerve and the parasympathetic nervous system, which helps us get into this deep relaxation response where healing occurs. Now, as I said earlier, we sometimes do movements in the shape, like knee to chest. Now we're putting compression on the knee, encouraging the synovial fluid to get expressed out through the synovial membrane, where it's picked up by the lymphatic system and cleansed. So we might spend a couple minutes here in this shape. There's also compression on the hip joint. We slowly release, put it back up in elevation. The lymphatic system picks it up. It's like the recycling man coming to your door and picking up your recycling and taking it away. All right, and we might have the same thing on the other side, putting the compression there. It's a compress and release. It's good for the muscles and the joints. There's strap work that we do here, but we're never targeting stretching muscles. We don't aim to stretch muscles. We are constantly using the muscles to get to the joints. I think of the shape as a reset for the sacroiliac joint. Okay, the sacroiliac is where your two big hip bones are connected to the triangular bone called the tailbone or the sacrum at the bottom of your spine. Where those two come together is called the sacroiliac joint on either side of that triangular bone. Sometimes one part gets a little stuck or sticky, and so letting the weight of your legs come down into the back of the pelvis can help reset that area. Some yogis and gymnasts, people that have a lot of flexibility, develop a lot of excessive movement in that area, and that gets painful. If we have an SI problem, it's usually because there's too much movement. And so we seek to stabilize the SI in many shapes, including this one, against the floor when we do various shapes and movements. Now I'm going to show you another version of the shape. You're going to bend the knees, roll to one side, push yourself up. And if you have a bolster like this one, I really like these 28-inch bolsters that are about 10 inches in diameter. You can always remove stuffing if it's too thick. These are excellent. You could also use a dense cotton or wool blanket, folded up a couple times. We're looking for anywhere from a couple inches up to about 6 or 8 inches of elevation. So for this, we scoot in closer to the wall, lie back, put the legs up the same way. But see, now I'm deliberately closer to the wall, so it helps me bend the knees, position the bolster, supporting the pelvis with the bolster. And it's just the pelvis that I support, not the low back. Extend the legs up. Now, why did we need to get closer to the wall for this? Well, because elevating the pelvis takes the pressure off the hamstrings. See, I can feel my hamstrings now are really soft and supple because the pelvis is elevated. Elevating the pelvis helps encourage flexion of the low back. I can even press the heels into the wall a tiny bit and feel my low back curve toward the floor. This is incredible for sciatic pain or low back pain. We open up the back of the vertebral bodies to put some space in there, invite blood flow and lymphatic exchange, and all kinds of fluid exchange around that area. It opens up space for nerves. All right, and so we let the belly relax. We could do a lot of different shapes here, but for now, I simply want to show you the benefits of legs up the wall as this foundational shape for so much that we do in this practice. See, for example, now if I bring my knee to my chest, I get the flexion on the knee, I get the flexion on the hip, but it also induces flexion on my lower back. It's like a big lever that's moving the lower back toward the floor. I'll release, I'll do the other leg. I hope you're following along and feeling how deeply restorative and soothing the shape is. Maybe like me and many others, you'll find this shape so conducive that you'll want to take a nap in the shape. Elevate your legs, elevate the pelvis, take the pressure off of the pelvic floor, take the pressure off the sex organs, the prostate for men, the uterus and ovaries for women. I don't know all the science behind that, but it just feels good. It feels so beneficial to unweight that part of the body. Lastly, I'll talk a little bit about some of the neck and head work here that we do. So sometimes we interlock the fingers under the head, which is really no small accomplishment. If you can have your fingers interlocked under your head, you want to do the practice occasionally to maintain that for life, because it's a movement that we often lose as time goes by. Don't worry, there'll be lots more videos for the neck and the head and the shoulders. But just imagine doing the neck and head movement here, turning the neck and head while all this added energy and flow of blood is moving through the thoracic outlet, the neck, and all around the brain. Maybe this practice will make you smarter. All right, so we'll release the arms down by the sides. We'll bend the knees, lift the hips, remove the support, slowly lower back down. For a moment, extend the legs up, inch back if you need to. Just feel the difference. Feel the benefits. We don't need all the science. We don't need evidence or proof. A better experience and a better walk and a better way through life should really be enough. And then when you're ready, you bend the knees, roll onto one side, and push yourself up. Thank you very much for joining me. I really appreciate you dropping in, practicing with me. You can click the link below to learn more. It's a beautiful practice. Thank you so much for joining me. Namaste.